Tarni, please take over.
A warm welcome to everyone present here. And to introduce SpeakSmart, at SpeakSmart, we believe that communication works for those who work on it. The key to communication is to remember that it needs lots of practice. It's a skill that takes a lot of practice to harness. SpeakSmart, headed by Srila Mitra, who is certified by the Trinity College London, is effective in effective communication skills, shares the same vision. It is an institution that works on personality development, public speaking, lateral thinking skills, and confidence building. Though it does all of this, for the students, SpeakSmart is their comfort zone where we can express all our feelings and perspectives openly without any judgment whatsoever. We have gathered here today to explore block and tackle. This is a new format which we are venturing into for the first time. This is an entertaining and lively format that challenges our
Tani,
clarity.
Tani,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. I think there must have been an error on our part. We're not looking into block and tackle today. That was our last event, which was actually a really good success. Please go watch it on YouTube. We're looking forward to one of our senior debates. We've had one after a very long time, which is from the which is in the 15 to 17 age group, and
Sorry,
that's okay. That's all right.
sorry. Correcting myself, we will be exploring a old format, the senior debate, and I I asked Omika to explain the format.
Right. Thank you, Tarani. Okay, so as the participants have already received the rules for today's debate, I'll just go over it again. You have a speaking time of minimum 3 minutes and maximum 4 minutes. We're going to give you a warning at like 3 minutes 30 seconds, and we'll say 30 seconds more to go, but it won't be very audible because we don't want to interrupt while you're speaking. But please watch out for when we say 30 seconds more to go. And please use the chat box if you have any communication. Either you can private chat either Anjali or me or any of the other wing members, or if you can just chat with everybody. Kindly, okay, next point, kindly mute yourselves if you're not being asked to speak. We will unmute you, don't worry about that. And keeping your video on and off is optional. However, when you're speaking, kindly keep your video on unless there's some internet issues which we can look into. Other than that, needless to mention, plagiarism and reading directly off websites will not be appreciated. We encourage you to come up with your own points and just enjoy the opportunity in general. Right. And 1 second. Okay. I think we're sorted. And if there are any further questions or queries, you can unmute and ask now, or you can use the chat, however you prefer. All right. I think I can move on to Snigdha to introduce our judges for today.
Okay, so our first judge for today is Miss Tanya Mitra, who has been a part of the SpeakSmart family as she was a student of our beloved Srila ma'am. She is currently a third year undergraduate student at Jadavpur University pursuing literature. She is an aspiring media professional with a keen interest in digital media and journalism. Other than having multitudes of talent, she enjoys writing, traveling, and watching cat videos on Instagram. It is truly a pleasure to have you, ma'am. Thank you so much for making the time. Our second judge for today our second judge for today is Ms. Priya Chatterjee Ray, who is a well known debater and adjudicator in the Indian parliamentary debate circuit with national, international, and invitational accolades in both Asian and British forms of PD. One of the most accomplished public speakers of the batch of 2018, she was the president and of the debate and the MUN Club of Loreto House and continues to debate as part of the core team in St. Xavier's College Debate Society, of which she is currently a part of. Okay, for the background this is what happens when relatives call last moment and you have no clue. So moving on, so sorry for that. She is also in the core team in St. Xavier's College Debate Society, of which she is a working committee member. When not flitting across the country or on her way to yet another debate or stuck at home because of attending online classes due to corona, she can be found with her nose busied in a book in some corner of the city or expounding to yet another poor soul the intricacies of Darwinism and postmodernism. She can have a conversation with you about literally any shady TV show, supernatural included, because she watches them all and loves also throwing reference about these in her speeches. So brownie points today if you do that also. So I'll hand over the moderation to Mehak now, and let's begin.
So before we start with the first speaker, I just want to let you guys know how we're going to be doing the interjection for today. So the second speaker, who is just let me get the name, Hiya Chakraborty, you are going to be interjecting Devdeepto, and it will go so on. And Devdeepto, you will be interjecting our last speaker, Lakshya Singhi. Is it clear to everyone how we're doing the interjection, or do I need to explain again? Just you can like give a thumbs up or say a yes in the chat.
Can you explain again, please?
Okay, so the second speaker is Hiya Chakraborty and the first speaker is Devdeepto. So Hiya is going to be interjecting Devdeepto, and Devdeepto, who is our first speaker, will be interjecting our last speaker, who is Lakshya Singhi. So did you like understand how the order is going? Yeah?
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
Mehak, we can just announce, when we are announcing the speaker, we can also announce who's interjecting. So then,
Okay, that also works, ma'am. Thank you. So Devdeepto, are you ready to go?
Mehak, I
Hiya.
think he's raised his hand. Devdeepto.
So what?
May I ask you a question?
Yes, sure.
Can only one person interject in other, like you said Hiya Chakraborty is interjecting me. So can like two other people also interject, or is it just one person?
So what's going to happen if Hiya does not have a question for you, it will go to the judges, and the judges are most likely going to have a question. And if not, then maybe we can take questions from the chat. But most likely others cannot interject. So Hiya Chakraborty, you are going to be interjecting Devdeepto. Okay, so I'm going to be starting your timer. Are you ready, Devdeepto?
Yes. Should I begin?
Alright. So your time starts now.
So what pops into your head when I say the word media? Facts, maybe information, maybe popularity and celebrities, maybe journalism. In truth, though, only half of what you might have thought is applicable, especially in Indian media. This brings me to our debate topic that the M in Indian media stands for money and misinformation, and I'm strongly for the motion. So, what do you think I mean by the M stands for money and misinformation? The current trend in various Indian news channels is substantiated and based on money, and the result is in a nutshell misinformation. The very basis of Indian media nowadays is money, the very axis around which it rotates. All the facts that are given out or even circulated within the news channels is a result of unlawful bribery in certain cases by the ones who are actually in the wrong. Now, by unlawful bribery, it's not like every day when somebody is in the wrong, they are going to bribe you. No. If it's a very serious thing which can get extremely drastic, that is the time when it happens. For example, the TRP scans by certain news channels. The people of several Indian states were bribed by these news channels so that the channels become very popular. Or, for instance, the Hathras case. As many of you might know, a poor Dalit girl died. But is it so simple? Debunkers say that it was a most brutal rape assault in which a girl later died. As usual, as is the case with several Bollywood movies, the rich, even though they were the ones to commit the misdeed, were spared, mainly due to the pack of substantial evidence. But where will the court of law find substance in a case where the dead body was burnt in haste, even without others constant? This lack of the substance creates a fog which cannot be solved at all. Isn't the news and the media supposed to be reliable? Then guess what? They did a marvelous job of gushing things up. Why, you may ask? Because of several ties which are too good to be severed with the local heads or whatever. This brings me to misinformation. One second. And even more deadly thing, misinformation is by far the worst thing the media might impose on us. Why would someone even turn to the media if not for correct news? And let's be practical, a huge majority of people in India turn to their favorite news channels every day with a bowl of puff rice in their hand, hoping to listen to all the hot gossip that is on there. So, what is misinformation in Indian media all about? The answer is actually many things and simpler than it might seem. Think about the reason for the partition of India: religion. Recently, there was this whole thing about an advertisement where, to promote their jewelry, the company showed a newlywed Hindu wife talk to her Muslim mother in law about the similarities. And then the comments started pouring over, and this certain phrase, love jihad, kept popping up. Apparently, love jihad means a method of brainwashing a non Muslim into a believer of Islamic faith. But even when there was no business in scrutinizing the ad, without any evidence of love jihad, the community kept doing this, encouraged by the news channels and the media. The media is like a
3
parasite which
minutes,
clings
30
on
seconds.
any hot news it can find. When hot news spreads like wildfire, and why does the wildfire start? Because of the headline and the promotion of love jihad. So I would like to end by saying that all these things in the media, which is like a fourth pillar of democracy, is misleading us due to maybe patriarchy or Godi news, which is the kind of news which flourishes under our Prime Minister Modi, or several other facts which can really be harmful. Hence, I say that Indian media is a whole source of misinformation and money, and the M in Indian media stands for it. Thank you.
That was very well spoken, Devdeepto. So, Hiya Chakraborty, do you have any question? Do you have a question for?
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
You said that the for the Tanishq ad, the recent one.
Yeah.
So the controversy around it. You said that the news channels were supporting the people who quoted hashtag Love Jihad on Twitter. I don't like. So I've been watching the news too, and I don't think that's the case. And the channels have actually been, uh, interviewing people who speak against it. So, what's your take on that?
Yeah. Firstly, I never mentioned that news channels are supporting it. I said that the comments are being posted on social media. They're getting a whole lot of emphasis in social media. Social media can be Twitter, it can be Facebook, it can be WhatsApp, not necessarily news channel and journalism only. So it's not that news channel is doing this, but we are talking about social media today, not particularly news channels either. So yes, the social media is encouraging. I won't say encouraging, but emphasizing on all this. I never mentioned news channels. This is a very bad habit too, but it's not news channels. I said social media. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and I also just want to add, you will be marked for the questions that you're interjecting for. So do make sure that you listen to the everyone's speeches properly, so you can formulate some good arguments to speak to your fellow participants with. So here, it's your turn now. Are you ready to go? And could you please
Yes.
have your video on?
Yeah. So, may I start?
No, just a second. I'll just start the timer. I'll let you know. So your time starts now.
Media is the most powerful entity on the earth, as whoever controls the media controls the mindsets of the masses. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jia Chakraborty, and I'll be speaking against emotion. So, media happens to be our greatest source of information, and had it not been for media, all of us would be living under rocks the size of Pangea. And the media plays a very important role in shaping our opinions and informing us about various topics, and it also shapes the society today. So in India, the media not only does all this, but it also forms the fourth pillar of democracy as it brings to light things that would otherwise have been covered up, and it portrays the true opinions and grievances of the country. Uh, so I won't deny the existence of corruption in our media, but I would also like to point out that the media and in extension the people of India check the decisions taken by our government. So our constitution gives us the right to speech, but is our media truly free? Over the recent years, many news channels have been shut down because they did not share the sentiments of our government. So, although our government has most of the resources, money, power, etc., and the influence enough to shut down news channels, even then we have people who are criticizing them, who are speaking out against things done by the government. And there do happen to be journalists such as Barkha Dutt and Ravish Kumar who bring forth to their audiences authentic and unbiased news. And not all news houses are controlled by people related to politicians, and they do not always emphasize on political propaganda. And yeah, and I won't deny that much of what is shown on our news channels is politics and celebrity gossip, but doesn't that reflect the viewers? So, even today there are people out there, journalists, who are working as conscience, like showing the people the true things, and they are unveiling facts. We also have the media to thank for raising awareness on issues such as global warming, deforestation, pollution, etc., etc. And trial by media is something that is, that is not very encouraged, but isn't it keeping with the true spirits of democracy? That is, aren't the people judging their true wrongdoers? So I would like to say that the M in Indian media does not stand for money and misinformation, but for the masses. As the what is shown on Indian media is actually a reflection of our economic, social,
3 minutes 30
political,
seconds.
cultural, etc. Sentiments. Thank you.
Thank you, Hia. So I just hope the judges note she spoke for 3 minutes 45 seconds. Uh, and also, who is the interactor? Sorry.
I think this is a very
S-
well made document.
it
Sorry,
was very.
I didn't want to.
I agree with Omeka. It was really compact and nicely written and planned.
Right.
So Sadia Hussain, do you have a question for Hia? Sadia, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I can't find her in the meeting.
Uh, Mehak, do you
I,
want to come back to Hia's question later? Will that be feasible?
But Sadia also has to go next, Omeka.
Is she not
I
yet?
don't think she's joined.
She's not even in the meeting.
Should we like up to you? Should we skip Sadia and like we'll see what we
Go
can
for
do?
the next against speaker.
Yes, we can do that, and then we can have that speaker ask here a question for now, and we'll incorporate Sadia when she comes in if she does.
Okay, so Nishat Mehak. I don't even think I saw their name. Oh yeah, you're there. Do you have a question for Hia?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do the judges have a question for Hia?
Yeah, Hia mentioned that the media is for the masses and it doesn't stand for misinformation and money. And I just want to ask her whether because the masses often have very polarizing views, and because a lot of the Indian masses are also uneducated and unaware of so many things. So, isn't what the mass getting? Aren't they getting what they want from the media? So, in that case, isn't it the media that's giving the information they want to give out to the masses, which polarizes the view of the masses or the opinions of the masses?
Ma'am, I'd like to say that the Indian public, so don't get me wrong, but we are always baying for blood. We actually want to see people fight. And actually, so that's what I said. So the Indian media reflects the masses. So even if the public is doing something wrong, or even if they so what they are trying to propagate isn't right and isn't doesn't call out to the conscience, even if that's the case, but that's what the masses want, and that's what the media reflects. So maybe the masses are happy with misinformation, and that becomes the information to them.
Thank you.
Thank you for your answer here. Nishat, it's your turn to speak. Could you please have your video on? But your bandwidth is low, so I think we can make an exception. Omika, Anjali, what do you guys say?
Oh, yes, that's okay.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're very much audible. So can you hear me fine?
Yeah.
Okay. So your time starts now.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nishat Mahek, and I'm speaking for the motion. I think right now is a very convenient time to have this debate, what with all the issue of TRP manipulation and the very justified rage against the media for widespread vilification of certain individuals and communities are going on. So if we happen to stumble upon, let's say, Republic TV, I swear I picked this one. I did not pick this one at random. The vile hatred that they spew on a daily basis seem almost dystopian, but I guess that is where we are now. If we try to look carefully, try to dissect this whole issue a bit, I think we can see how gluing money over the fourth pillar of democracy has led to such subtle, almost unnoticeable ways of injecting propaganda in our minds. The way these sly journalists inject propaganda in our minds, how they construct their dialogue with the viewers and sometimes resort to just in case the manipulation they are trying to do gets disrupted. They are given the liberty of free speech and they are hell-bent on taking it away from other people. This is highly dangerous. The fact that they have grown to be so politically motivated, so narrow-minded, the fact that they have strayed away so far from the rules of free and fair journalism. Let's just get brave and pick out a name, Arnab Goswami. Let's just to prove how dicey this is, how dangerous this whole situation is. His journalism has incited riots, hatred, and gotten people beaten and almost killed. Umar Khalid almost died. Gauri Lankesh was murdered. Many others have been beaten and viciously trolled. He has divided households. He has united bigots, and this megalomaniac has used his office and clout backed by organized institutions to rip our country apart. He has branded people as anti-national Tokre gang and have played doctored videos to push false narratives forward to provoke people. Breaking news is a farce. If we do follow news of these certain media channels, we can see how they exaggerate one issue unnecessarily, unendingly for months, lurk over them, invade everyone's privacy, push every limits. And I'm talking about mostly the nugatory digging into celebrities' lives that have been going on for months and has turned out to be quite futile. They blatantly ignore the narratives of the poor, the plight of the laborers, the cries of the minorities, and just for the mere purpose of gaining money, for gaining clout, for the support they get by powerful organization, they are ruining lives. They are the real news is being ignored just to push government propaganda. They are playing, they are they are narrating news in almost comical ways, like it's a serial going on, like it's a Bollywood film going on, and they have made a mockery out of the ethics of journalism, a complete mockery. Okay, thank
3
you.
minutes, 30 seconds. Okay. Thank you, Nishad. So Nandini, you will be interjecting Nishad. So do you have any questions for them?
Yeah, I do have a question. So,
Go
as
ahead.
she said that she stated real news, so I wanted to ask that isn't real news our choice? And she talked about the Republic movie, and she also talked about Arnab Goswami. So, I just wanted to say that there is whatsoever a difference between serious journalism and propaganda. So is it like, what is real news? Like, is it always laid in front of us, or we need to apply our own conscience, and we need to apply our own cognitive thinking in order to differentiate between a propaganda and a real news? So yeah.
Okay, all right. So, don't you think the journalism is, after all, the fourth pillar of democracy? And do you think our conscience and like us digging into things ourselves, us looking for real news, are always, can they always turn out to be quite so effective? Because maybe some of us can, maybe some of us can dig for real news, maybe some of us can put our conscience into action, our good conscience into action, but after all, the naive citizens of the country, let's say, are they not completely manipulated, completely brainwashed by the news they watch? Republic TV has the highest TRP. It's the most watched news channel there is. And if they are constantly spilling vile propaganda, constantly pushing narratives of only the people they want to please up there, so how do you think we can actually get the real news? How do you think we can obtain the real news? We, after all, depend on media. We do depend on media, and they need to keep their ethics pure.
Thank
That's
you
it.
for your answer, Nishad. So after Nishad, Nandini will be going, and Isha, you will wait. I think
Nandini,
Yes.
you will be our next speaker. Please go ahead. Or Mehak, can you please start the time?
no, who's coming in place of Isha because she left, right?
I'll let you know about that. Right now, we'll have Nandini speak.
Okay. So Nandini, wait, I can't find you. Here.
Nandini, can you please
Please
switch
have
on
your
your
video.
Wait, I can't hear you.
Can you have your video on, please?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Awesome. So your time starts now.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. This is Nandini Mukherjee here, and I'm speaking against the motion. Okay. Blurring the line between fiction and reality, that can be done for many purposes, starting from having fun and going all the way to survival. So you cannot play games or read novels unless you suspend disbelief at least for a while. uh, you know to really enjoy football, you have to accept the rules of the game and forget for at least 90 minutes that they are merely human inventions. If you don't, you'll think it being utterly ridiculous for 22 people running for a ball. Football me being with just having fun, but it can then become far more serious stuff, as any English hooligan or Argentinian nationalist will arrest. Football can help formulate national identities, it can cement large scale commodities, and it can provide reasons for violence. Nations and religions are football clubs on steroids. I want to quote Harari. He said, "Human beings have always been better at inventing tools than using them wisely." We cannot conclude by saying politicians and priests have a free license to lie through their teeth, and it would be profoundly wrong to say that everything is fake news. That any attempt to discover the truth is doomed to failure, and there is no difference whatsoever between serious journalism and propaganda. Underneath all the fake news, there are real facts and real suffering. In Ukraine, for example, Russian soldiers are fighting. Thousands have died, and hundreds of thousands have really lost their homes. Therefore, instead of accepting fake news as a norm of Indian media, is a sheer give up. And we should strive even harder to distinguish between reality from fiction. We cannot expect perfection. One of the greatest fiction of all is to deny the complexity of world and to think in absolute terms of pristine purity versus satanic evil. No politician tells the truth, tells everything in a tells the whole truth, but some politicians are still far better than others. Given the choice, I would trust Churchill much more than Stalin. Similarly, no newspaper is free of biases and mistakes, but some make an honest effort to find out the truth, whereas others are a brainwashing machine. For example, according to Reuters, the Times of India is one of the most trustable newspaper and also takes Express and the Stan Times on the list, and also channels like DD News and NDTV. We also have journalists like Faye D'Souza, Barkha Dutt, who still don't let our faith dive in vain. So we need to remember that we don't eat fish because we love fish. Just like we, it's just like the loving the idea of love. Just like so it's and accepting that everything is a copy of a copy. It is a responsibility of us to invest time and effort in uncovering our biases and in verifying our sources of information. First, we need to find some reliable information, pay good money for it. If you get your news for free, you might well be the product. Suppose a shady billionaire offered you a deal that I'll pay you 2000 INR, and in exchange you'll allow me to brainwash you for an hour every day. And the other deal is you'll allow me to brainwash you for an hour every day, and in exchange I'll not charge you for anything.
3 minutes, 30 seconds.
So don't follow the example. And another thing, so the question now lies that who's actually the skeleton in the closet? There should be a significant balance between truth and fiction, and it depends on us to perceive. And yes, that's it. Yeah.
All right, Nandini. So I just want to say this as a general statement to everyone. We here expect you all to not read out something. It's okay to draft your things. It's very important to do that in a debate, that you have your research done before and you've made like a list of your points. But do not read out a speech ever. Make bullet points or make flashcards if you need something to just look at during your speech. Even I tend to forget whenever I'm speaking. But please do not read out. You need to elaborate on it on spot to express your own opinion also to a certain extent. So Divya, you are going to be questioning Nandini. So what question do you have for her?
Okay, so Nandini said, like, Nandini quoted, and she said that human beings are better at making tools than using them. I completely agree with her saying that media is a tool that has been made by human beings. But don't you think that the human beings themselves are using it properly enough for them? Like the media personals, the people who work in the media industry themselves are getting so much money and they are using that tool of the industry to their benefit. So isn't it being used very well enough by the people?
Yes. So I even mentioned journalists like Faye D'Souza and Barkhat. So they are investing their time and their effort into making something real. That's what you call real news. And I believe that there are surely media industries who are there to going on to stir up propagandas, but we still have people who are in this platform who are still fighting their ends in order to make sure that we get the real news. So if we think that if we try to compare both of them in you know if you always look onto the darker side of things, and I think that will be sure give up. Yeah.
Okay, so now it's Vaishali's turn to moderate. Thank you for the little bit of moderation I have done today. So, Vaishali, over to you.
Thank you, Mehak. So now we have Divya Surana for the motion. Divya, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So let's start.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I am Divya Surana, and I am going to speak for the motion. So nowadays, especially, all that surrounds us is the media industry. The only connection that we have from the outside world, a lot of people who are not being able to step out of their houses at present, is just the media industry. The media industry forms a lot of opinions in the minds of a lot of people. They influence the thought processes and the agreement or disagreement of a lot of people in particular situations. These influences that the media industry has can lead to riots or establishment of peace in various places. But according to me, nowadays this industry is putting the people into a bog. Media industry is something that is very influencing, and all the reporters, the news anchors, and all of them are very, very influencing people. One line that they say from their mouth is actually influencing crores and crores of people. So what I personally feel is the first thing they should not do is spread false news or their personal opinion stating that it is breaking news or that it is going to change the nation in some other way. For example, a lot of news channels we would see as of recent are holding a lot of debates with politicians, with Bollywood actors, with political people who are famous in politics, all of them, but they are only held for the entertainment purpose of the people, whereas the media industry actually should bring awareness to the people and not actually entertain them. That particular industry is here to bring awareness, not entertain people. Those debates don't lead to any solutions over whatever matter they are being discussed. They are either left hanging because the panelists are shouting too much and throwing stuff at each other, or they end up because there is lack of time and they have to change to another show. Another example of media industry being a money making industry is the film journalism. Even though it is very, very important genre of journalism, a lot of channels have recently been hyping film journalism to such an extent that sometimes all we see on the news is movies and daily soaps. We don't get what is happening around the nation, be it floods, be it poverty, be it the GDP, economy of the nation. All we see is daily soaps and Gopi Bahu crying. All of that is only shown on media, which is not actually supposed to happen. For example, the Sushant Singh Rajput case. Riya Chakravarti was given trial by the media. She was held guilty by the media. They blamed her for everything. A lot of conflicts happened all over the nation. People were burning statues of Riya, and a lot of people, a lot. She was getting rape threats. She was getting murder threats. But no one actually understood that even if she was involved in the murder case, the way the people are reacting to whatever the media is saying can have an effect on Ria's mental health herself. She could have destroyed, she could have killed herself because of the mental pressure from the people thanks to the media. All of the Indians those days were hooked to their Indian television just for updates to know how Sushant died, what happened. As the case started progressing and as CBI started finding out, we found there was a drugs connection, and everyone was there. Everyone was like trying to see who is in the drugs connection. Celebrities like Deepika Padukone, Shraddha Kapoor, Sara Ali Khan, I'm sure all of us have seen. They were called over and they were asked by the NCP, but the news kept on neglecting it or showing it to such an extent that the people were actually going behind these people trying to kill them. They hyped up, and nowadays we have nothing over about the case. There was no conclusion that reached. Similarly, something happened with the Hathras case, and the people moved to the Republic TV case. A lot of news channels thought that, taking this case up may increase our viewership, but that did not actually happen because that was no result that actually came out to the case. The Bihar politics came up, then another round of politics. So what happens in the media industry is people are
Divya,
giving.
you've passed 4 minutes, 15 seconds. Could you please wrap up?
Yeah, sure. So I would just like to conclude by saying that instead of actually politicizing situations and actually giving wrong opinions to the public, the media industry could try and spread positive news so that it's better for the people and for the mental health as well as for physical health of the people. Thank you.
Okay, judges, please note Divya has spoken for 4 minutes 37 seconds. And Manasvi, would you like to interject?
So, Divya, you just said that the reporter should not have a perspective, but don't you think media is actually on a perspective? At the end of the day, media is a perspective about stories.
Yeah, see, media is a perspective about stories, and I completely agree. But the reporters, when they form a particular perspective, they are human beings and it's natural for them to form it. But when they actually force that perspective on the people and say it's breaking news and this is what is supposed to happen, that is something I'm opposing. I'm not opposing the reporter's perspective, but I'm opposing them forcing their perspective on the people.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Divya. Now we have Manasvi Agarwal, who is against the motion.
Yeah.
Yes, so I'm starting your time.
Good evening, respected judges, my worthy opponents, and the members of the House. So, the topic is that the M in Indian media stands for money and misinformation, and I, Manasvi Agarwal, is completely against it. So, let's start with what the media offers. Firstly, and most importantly, media keeps us connected. Before the media, you could live your entire life just knowing what's happening in your village. But thanks to media, we are connected. You not only know what's happening in your country, but internationally. You know the political condition in India as well as the United States of America. It can spur businesses. What would happen to businesses without advertisement and marketing? Thanks to media, businesses can reach potential consumers easier and faster than ever before. This helps our economy to grow too. It can spread art and culture. On the internet, you can see all the world artistic masterpieces or learn about cultures which you might not have known. In addition, numerous TVs and radios uh, devote themselves to enlighten their audience or listeners about different cultures and arts all over the world. It gives the voice to voiceless. From reporters telling about people in difficult situations to people on social media bringing their thoughts, which might go viral and spread all across the world. This helps people voice this helps to lift an individual's voice, which might have gone unheard. The perfect example is Baba Ka Dhaba. Baba Ka Dhaba, run by Kanta Prasad and Badmi Devi, is known to all. The elderly couple plight moved social media after a video as they were not being able to make ends meet, and today they're in a much better state. So let's come to misinformation. It's actually not misinformation, it's misinterpretation. Because at the end of the day, it's just a perspective of the news reporter or the journalist. And it depends on the audience what they want to think about it. Let's take an example. Let channel A, that be two channels, channel A and channel B. And let the topic be Sushant Singh Rajput death. Channel A might say that it's a murder, and channel B might say that it's a suicide. But it actually depends on the audience to think what it is. And lastly, people say that it's money because a lot of people say that it's political people parties give money to the media to not say exact number of COVID cases in our country. But actually, there's so many people who get it affected with this illness and don't even go and report to the government. So how is it the media's fault when we as citizens of India are not taking our duty and going and telling the government that we actually have this illness? So it's not about money. It's actually about us. Thus, I think that the M in Indian media does not stand for money and misinformation. Thank you.
Thank you. Judges, please note Manasvi has spoken for 3 minutes and 28 seconds. And Harshita, would you like to interject?
Yes. Okay. So Manasvi in her speech constantly mentioned that it falls upon the people on what news they take up. But at the end of the day, the people are being manipulated by whatever news is being put up on social media, and the muddled waters are being created as a propaganda by the political party, and we as privileged people have the complete resources to go out and fact check the news, but majority naive people in this country end up believing whatever they see on the TV. So how is it their mistake that they are believing whatever they consider to be verified news, and and it is not? And how are you justifying that it is not the media industry's mistake?
I'm so sorry, Harshita, but can you just repeat your question because I could not hear the initial sentences?
Okay, so basically, you in your entire speech went up blaming the people, saying that it is their mistake that they're buying and believing in whatever the whatever the media industry is showing, and it is at the end of the day their perspective. If a perspective goes out of facts, and if it portrays misinformation and fake news, can that be considered as perspective, and can that be justified? And moreover, it is not, you said it is the people's mistake, but we as privileged individuals have the complete resources to go up and fact check the news, but majority people in this country
Harshita,
do
can
not
you
have
please,
that, and they
Harshita,
end up
um,
formulating and believing in
Harshita,
whatever they listen to based on whatever the media says. So how can you say that it is the people's mistake?
Harshita, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Can you please condense your question? Because it's a little, I understand that you're trying to express a particular opinion and have a question. Can you please like make it a little shorter so we can just have it in
Yeah,
one sentence?
sure. So
If
basically, how
Manasvi's
can
got
you?
it, she can answer and then you can put it in the chat. I think that'll be better. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Yeah, thank you.
Harshita, is the question that uh, most most Indians do not know if this news is correct or not, and their perspective really matters, but they don't have a perspective because they are being able uh, because they are being manipulated by the media.
Yes.
Okay, so as I said, there are two channels, right? There are numerous number of channels. So at the end of the day, some channel might have the correct news, right? So if they go with that, and like once you have the pros and cons, then you actually get the answer. So I'm sure they will get the answer.
All right, thank you. Now, as Omika said, please keep your questions short because it's really difficult for the speaker. So next we have Harshita Gupta, who's for the motion. Wait, Harshita, could you please switch on your video?
Yes. It's
Yes,
switched on.
just a second. Yes, I'll start your time.
A very good day to everyone viewing this debate. So for today, the motion in front of the given house is that the M in the Indian media industry stands for misinformation and as misinformation and money. And as the speaker of the proposition, it is my utmost prerogative to begin by delving into my construction. Now, if we look at the major media channels in the country right now, all of them are distraction tools by the government, and all of them are just propagating propaganda. They are all distraction tools. The major issues in this country right now, I bet you every citizen in this country is aware of the exact number of grams of drugs consumed by a celebrity, but they're not aware of the migrant laborers, of the number of migrant laborers who died, or of the exact number of COVID-19 cases, or of the farmer suicides. Why? Because the government doesn't have information on that. The government doesn't have data on the migrant laborers, and they do not want to be questioned on that, which is why the people are being bluffed, the people are being tricked, the people are being distracted, and the distraction tool being the media over here. At this point of time, the major pressing issues in this country, where the economy has completely crashed with the GDP being minus 23.9 and unemployment on an ever high, people are not even aware that something of this sort is happening, because the major media industries in this country are just going up, and everyone is just hyping up cases. The Sushant Singh Rajput case was so hyped up in this country, where that became the major news for 2 months. 2 months, the only thing that was discussed in this country was Sushant Singh Rajput, and 2 months later, we understood why that was the case, because that was used as a political tool by the National Party in the Bihar elections. That was used to manipulate people to end up so that the people could end up voting for them. That was used as a political tool. Everything in this country has been politicized by the government, and which is why it is a distraction tool, and everything that is being hyped up in this country, everything has a political reason behind it, which is where the misinformation comes in. At this point of time, where the drugs song going viral, and the 9 p.m. debates just being just being used to make memes. I'm unsure if the Republic TV has the highest TRP, it has it has the most amount of viewers. I'm unsure if they go there to see the news or to make memes, because a senior member of the National Party went up to the 9 p.m. debate. Honorable Mr. Sambit Patra went up to the debate, and the song that had gone viral, the Rasoda song, compared Rashi with the leader of the opposition party. If that is what is being done on the major news channels of this country, then I'm not sure where this country is heading. And at this point of time, there is the amount of misinformation and fake news that goes behind this. With the news releasing quote unquote Corona Jihad reports, completely Islamophobic reports, where it was proven to be fake and there were FIRs against them, where the political bots on Twitter, where the entire industry going crazy after the Tablighi Jamaat incident happened, where the entire industry going after if Riya Chakraborty has done Kala Jadoo on Sushant Singh Rajput or not. Social media has been the place where people are majorly taking news from. A few debaters before this mentioned Faide Souda, Rana Ayub. Both of these reporters have ended up being on Instagram, where they're using Instagram as a tool to raise awareness. But the major
30
media
seconds to
industries
go.
stand up. Now, talking about now moving on to my refutations. Now, majority people ended up blaming viewers for believing in the believing whatever the major news media industry say. Now, the mantle right now falls upon us, because the muddled waters have been so they lack clarity so much that we as individuals are completely confused on which news agency to believe in, and we as privileged individuals have the complete resources to go and fact check each and every news that we see, but majority people in this country don't, and it is not their mistake that they don't, which is why we need the media industries to come up and show the pressing issues of the country. We need the media
Harshita,
industries to
please
come
wrap up.
up.
You've gone past 4 minutes, 15 seconds.
Okay, so yeah, with that I rest my case and not my stance. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
So judges, please note, Harshita has spoken for 4 minutes and 26 seconds. And Lakshya, would you like to interject?
Uh, Sorry, can I just interrupt for like a mini second? No, what's it called? Nanosecond. Right. I just wanted to say, please note for the other participants who are remaining. I know that if there are only a few of you, but Harshita was the only speaker who clearly stated that she's going to be refuting. All right. And refutation is like an essential part of a debate. So in your debate speech, try and bring in more refutation. It always helps with score sheets or otherwise. Thank you. And that was a great speech, by the way.
Yes, Laksh, would you like to ask? Are you here? Laksh, am I audible to you?
Josh, do you have a question?
Yes, if you are having trouble with your audio, you can send it in the chat box and I can read it out. Um, I think we'll move on to the judges asking the questions, and please note that Laksh has. I think there's some audio problem, but yes, the judges, would you like to ask a question to Harshita? Um, does anybody have a question? Okay. If someone would like to ask a question in the chat box, any of the attendees or wing members or anyone, they could ask. And Laksh, if you're having trouble with your audio, you can still ask in the chat box.
I'll ask a question.
Okay.
Right. Just one second. So Harshita mentioned social media and how we get the news from social media. To what extent do social media debates and just discussions on social media, does she think, impact our understanding of what's happening around us?
So the thing right now is that in this country, the major media
Can you
industries
stop?
uh, What?
I couldn't hear you, but now it's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, the thing is that social media, at the end of the day, it isn't a credible source of news. But in at points in points of distress like these, people are forced to end up going to these places because it is still more. It can still be more believable than, and it still shows more important issues than what the major media industries in this country show. To know about even the basics about what the GDP rate is or how high the COVID situation is going, to see even the basics of what is happening in this country. It is never ever portrayed in the major news channels of this country, which is why even though social media isn't a verified source of news, but at this point of time, social media outrage, it has been at its peak, as we saw in the anti-CA protest as well as in the BLM movement. So social media, it isn't a credible source of news, but it is, but harsh times leads to harsh solutions. So this is the only kind of solution that people who are actually interested to know about what's happening in this country have to go on to.
Okay, Lux just sent a question. I don't think we'll be taking that because since a question is already asked. But Anjali, Umika, should I take the question?
You can take it up for right now, Vaishali,
Okay,
because its
so
audio was not working.
okay, so Laksh has asked the question. The people are only making the social medias more usable, media more usable and harsh, as well as not the journalists. And not okay, wait 1 second, I'll just reframe this question. The people are only making the social media more usable and harsh as well, and not the journalists. Have you understood the question, Harshita?
Yes, I would like to just say one thing. Can I say that?
Yes.
Uh, have you ever seen Z News tweets? Twitter is the major app where major journalists of this country, so-called journalists of this country, are there, and just see the kind of hashtags they use. Every time they have a hashtag jihad, hashtag Corona jihad. So is that not manipulation of the crowd?
All right. So I think thanks Harshita. Now we'll move on to Laksh. Um, is if you're having problem with your audio, you can just leave and join back if that's not an issue. Okay. He's leaving and joining back. So since Laksh is our last speaker, and we don't have anyone next, so till then we just might have to wait for Laksh to join back.
Sadia didn't join, I see. So I hope the judges can make note of that Sadia is not here. So
Laksha is joined back.
All right. Laksh, is your audio better now?
Am I audible now?
Yes, you
Yes.
are.
You can keep your video off if you're having trouble,
Fine.
if that is okay. Okay, I'm starting your time. Yes, you can.
Okay.
Laksh?
Yes.
Yes, your time starts now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lakshya Singhi, and today I am here to talk about the topic. The word M in the Indian media stands for money and misinformation, and I am strongly against it. I would like to define what is media first. Media is a way of communication outlets used to store and deliver information or data, and it also refers to the various means of communication and also the communication device. In India, majority of the people think that the Indian media is full of corruption and provides wrong information. It is true that many news channels compete with each other to make fast money, but that doesn't mean that the media channels are corrupt. Just because journalists lead better lives today than they used to earlier does not mean that they are corrupt. According to some of the journalists, public relation firms were the ones that got journalists involved in those affairs. And coming to misinformation, many people say that information provided in the news are uh, fake and they start to criticize them. But no one talks about the cases where the truth was delivered by the media only. And I would like to name some of them, such as Harriet Truth tapes and Lalu Shahabuddin tapes. So, according to me, the word M in the Indian media does not should not stand for money and misinformation, but stand for medium way of communicating information and idea. Thank
Okay, are you sure you want to? Okay, anyway, so judges, please note, Laksh has spoken for 1 minute and 53 seconds. And Devdipto, it's your turn to interject.
Yes, I have one question for Lurk. She said that the journalists in the media, they are in an internal feud and they argue amongst themselves on different companies so that their channel gets more money. But isn't that what you are going to, like, in a nutshell? Let's say a person doesn't know anything about media. In a nutshell, isn't that kind of corruption, that argument for money and popularization, what you're going to say is what money means in media in a nutshell? Isn't that what money means in media?
Laksh, you need
Did you
to.
understand my question?
Laksh, did you hear that?
you. Yes, can you repeat the question
I
once again?
said that.
Okay,
Okay.
I think could you just condense it and put it in the
Yes, it
chat
will.
box because it will save more time.
Okay. Just give me one moment. Okay.
Yes. All right, Laksh, if you can see the chat box now. You can answer the question.
Okay.
Laksh, are you having trouble with your audio again? Because okay, Laksh, you're not audible. You could take off your headphones and try speaking directly into the device's mic. Now I think yes. Okay, no.
So I just want to that the journalists that I said before said that the journalists argue for money and popularity. I think so that
I think we have I think we'll just move on because Laksh's audio is not working, and if he comes back, he can probably answer. But I'll hand over the proceedings to Anjali now.
I think Anjali is
Oh, I think.
having
Wait.
Anjali's having internet issues. Right, it's okay. Also, I just wanted to mention that Sadia could not join us today because of health issues. She's having a bit of trouble, so I just managed to speak to her. And we'll just 1 second. We'll just wait till the judges are back. Ma'am, you can open the breakout rooms, and we can have the judges. And ma'am, you're muted.
Anjali is the host, so
She's the
it's
host.
not she's
Yeah,
hosting
she's.
it, so it's
Joining in a
not
minute.
showing up for me.
Can you just give us a
You can
second?
just call her, Sheila. I think she'll join back
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a minute.
I think
Um,
while we're waiting,
yeah, that's what I was about to say.
okay, right, Mehak, over to you.
Great. So I was when I was listening to Devdito's speech, I was really excited that he brought up the Tanishq ad because I read about it and I was among the several people who was quite against the outrage against the ad. And I'm really interested to know why do you guys think people act like this on social media? And do you guys think it was justified to have the ad taken down? Like anyone who would like to go.
May I?
Hiya, and then Hiya, Harshita, and Divya, I think, raised their hands. So you guys can go in order.
Just
Hiya,
guys,
go ahead.
can you 1 second? I'll just pause for like a nanosecond, please. Anjali, you're back. Great. So we can just manage that, and then we can get back to your opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Hiya.
Yeah, so I felt that it was a bit of a religious thing. So, since India has a Hindu majority, so people felt that India was a Hindu state as of that, and which it isn't. And also nowadays, people I don't know why it's happening, but people think that religions should not be mingling, whereas it's clearly stated in the preamble that India is a secular country and that you know, religions and castes should be staying in harmony with each other. And you know why it was taken down. So I am of the opinion that since Tanishq is actually a business brand and it's not here to uh, rectify the wrongs in the society, and so I think they would prefer not to have more showrooms broken and uh, having their um, having their employees harassed and their brand banned.
Okay, that was actually a really well presented way. I never looked at it like that. We actually did a SpeakSmart class. Anjali was and Iona were there. I don't remember who else was there in that class. Where Sheila ma'am showed us a lot of ads made by these corporate companies that have a lot of activism and like a social message in them. And obviously, a company they're always looking for profits and losses. So I do understand your perspective on that. What do you have to say, Harshita?
Even if it is a company, seeing the condition of the country right now. Okay, firstly, I'll start. My opinions can offend anyone, so it shouldn't ideally. But if it does, then I'm sorry. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. But yeah, the thing is that the condition of this country right now. It doesn't matter if you're a company, if you're a corporate, if you're anything. You need to speak up. If you are silent, then that means that you're in support of whatever is happening. Doesn't matter if you're looking for profits or losses of anything. It's sort of a responsibility as a citizen to speak up. And when it comes with the Tanishq ad, it practically speaking wasn't even something controversial. Like if it would have gone against the national party or something, I would have personally supported that. But then that can still be considered controversial. It just showed a normal family having a normal religious function. There was nothing else that was shown. It was it was it was not even like, I don't even know why it was considered controversial in the first place. But people in this country, the second they see any kind of the second they see someone from Islam in any sort of place, they'll just start with, okay, because people do not know the differentiation between someone who in the name of Islam is doing something which is wrong, and someone who's a true believer of Islam. They do not see the difference between the two. And the second they see someone who is believing in Islam, they'll straight up go against whatever it is. It doesn't even matter if they're doing a good thing or a bad thing or anything. They'll just go against it, which is something that happened in the Tanishq ad. And there was so much of outrage. Like, firstly, it's a mere ad. The things that are happening in this country, these kind of people will not speak up, will not take a stand if a rape is happening, if something as brutal as a rape is happening, if the economy is crashing. But they will start 10,000, they'll make 10,000 Twitter hashtags trending, and they'll take down an ad because it showed love, but they'll not speak up for issues that actually need us to speak up. So, yeah, that was my.
Very well spoken. I absolutely agree with everything Harshita has said. that Islamophobia, as you would call it, is so prevalent over here because I think a lot of the politicians just villainize it straight up. Uh, I will not name anything because this is being streamed on YouTube live. Uh, and I absolutely agree with that. And because like I think something recently also happened in Paris. I haven't really kept up with the news this weekend, and I think people are blaming because I think it was some Islamic terrorist group did an attack in Paris, and Muslims in India are getting blamed for that. I don't really see the logic. I don't think you guys probably do either. It's because people are like such. I personally think the word bigot is what I would describe them as, and it's like it's just this weird discrimination that is just inculcated in a lot of us. I have parts of my family that is very Islamophobic too. Bhaks always lack logic, true. Absolutely true. Bhaks are just so not it. They just like to burn buses, in my opinion. That's what I can say. Anyone else has anything else to say? I
Yeah,
don't want to go on a speech. Yeah,
I
go ahead, Divya.
Okay, so basically, why I think this ad was taken down, one of the biggest reasons was, as both of you said, Islamophobia. But another thing is that, people in this country, especially, most of them do not have logic. All they want is that something they started to trend. So they'll make 2000 hashtags in a day and they will try and trend it just because they want to be famous. Like for one day, they want their names to come over some by retweeted by some celebrity or by some politician. They just want to get that fame and that get that kind of a validation, which is why I think that they actually trended this and bring this whole ad thing. I personally really liked that ad because it all that showed was communal harmony, but these people will not accept it because then basically if communal harmony is established in India, we won't have things to show on the news. So yeah.
That's very much true because aren't you half the time it's a Hindu Muslim issue. I remember a time when they made coronavirus a Hindu Muslim issue, and I was like, what is wrong with you people? Uh, it's just this whole blame game, right? That's what the news is in a lot of parts of India, I will say. That's why you should be careful about the resources that you reach to for news.
Yes,
Aaj tak,
they see even a tiny bit of religious harmony and they just go weak in the knees. Laughable.
absolutely. And like, I don't know, like I live in a joint family, so I wake up to the sound of Aaj Tak, and it's like the most annoying sound because you have these people just yelling onto the TV with your family members having the volume on 100, and it just doesn't feel like they're giving you information or news. They're telling you like this is happening and this is the opinion you're supposed to hold about it. If you differ from our opinion, what's the point of your existence? And news debates are not going to even start with that. Anyone else has anything else to say?
May I add
Actually,
something?
news debates is
Yeah, go ahead,
are less
Deepto.
Yeah. What I would like to actually say is like, see, the major reason, as every one of us have pointed out, it is actually Islamophobia and this whole thing about how they don't want Islam spreading. But that's not the. I can actually, I will go elaborate into that in a little while. I just want to say that. See, I had this actually in my speech, but it was too long, so I had to jot it off. That the people, when they're following to this kind of Indian media with all the misinformation, they are just overlooking the obvious. They are going around it in a very crooked path, which is absolutely not correct. Everybody has their own theories, but they're forgetting the most obvious one, which is that Tanishq is a jewelry company and it will have rivals. So that is one thing. From social media, like nobody, I'm surprised that nobody brought this point up that it has its own rivals. So like no, like everybody will want to dig up some dirt on Tanishq one way or the other and cripple it. As for Islamophobia, I don't think people are actually like there have been tons of movies made in the past. I said several Bollywood movies in my speech only. Tons of movies made in the past showing this. It's not a new thing. But and like there have been other ads, but they haven't received this deep, like this thick level of negative comments. You know what is actually petrifying the people who are watching this? The fact that they're existing together. That is what I should think is terrorizing people, not the fact that they are showing Islam's in power. Terror, they're showing terrorizing and apparent control over feminism, which I don't see how this is doing. So this is like that ad about the wife being controlled by her mother-in-law. So I think that who is Islam by faith. So I think that is what is really bothering the various people who know nothing about anything, who are writing these things in the social media.
Actually,
So I
I
had
feel
this.
that so
Yeah,
people
go
said
ahead.
that so many people claim that you should make something where there's a Muslim bride in a Hindu family. So I would like to point out that there's a movie called Khuda Hafiz. It's I think a 2019 or 20 movie. It's a Bollywood thing, and a situation has been portrayed. So the family is a Hindu family, but the bride is Muslim. So yeah, that exists, people. And secondly, Tanish might have rivals, but there have been celebrities who said stuff like, "This is the power of united Hindus." So, like, why are people pulling religion into stuff like this?
Because
Mm.
people like to pull in religion when they don't have an argument and they think it's a very powerful argument to use, but it just pulled in out of context. That's what I
And
personally believe.
in
And
countries like
Iona,
India,
why
we are
does
like,
Iona suddenly have a video on? I'm so sorry to interrupt you. What does Iona have to say? I want to listen to this. I'm going to keep quiet now. But she turned her video off. I thought she was
Were
going
you
to
in the
speak.
middle of some argument? But I just
No,
generally wanted to tell all the
everyone was
speakers that
agreeing. It was very harmonious.
no, I really liked the way all of you spoke and the fact that you took so much interest in doing your research. So don't worry about the results. But the fact is, we're really happy that all of you came up and participated, and it was a great effort on your part.
I think this is my first time moderating a debate, so it was really fun. I moderated jams before, so it was really fun. You guys were great.
I want to say something.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so we were talking about this, Tanishq thing. Before this, there was a Zomato thing, going on, trending. So there was a, Hindu guy who didn't accept food from a Muslim guy because of his religion. So the thing is, when we sit in the place of a Tanishq dealer, and when we think from his or her perspective, then it becomes, sort of, it violates our, so-called, I can think, you know you can't accept a guy entering a shop and bashing everything off, and that person will try to protect his employees first, because that person needs to protect his or her business. That person is also doing a good thing. And so I think that there's a, this thing is really subjective. And I believe that we'll, get a lot of bash. We'll get a lot of bash, the way we got from Tanishq and also from Zomato, that food has no religion. And voices will not be able to get suppressed so easily. So I believe, yeah, that's the thing.
All right, that's well said. Thank you so much, Nandini. Now, before I move on to the vote of thanks and the awards, I will request some of my wing members to actually say a few words about their experience with public speaking. So, first up, we'll have Mehak.
So, as I wait, I didn't. So I have been sort of properly oh my god. I have been properly public speaking for I think about 2 years now, because I joined SpeakSmart in class 8 and I never thought of myself as a public speaker. And like we didn't really have that many public speaking events from like class 4 to 5 to begin with. We had like poetry recitation and I never got selected for it. I used to go to cry to my mom about it. Uh, I really remember that vividly. Like my first sort of big experience on a stage was when I played like a 30-second role in my mom's play because they needed a child, and I was the only available child at the time. So it was like a really scary experience because it was like a pretty grown up play, and I had played like a child who had been abused just for 30 seconds. And but I remember being so excited and so terrified at the same time. and I saw all the uncles and it was like an 18 plus, no wait, it was like a 15 plus play. So there was all uncles and aunties in the theater, and I was like, what's happening? And it was quite a scary experience, but it was also felt really refreshing, if you will. And I participated in more and more public speaking. I represented my house a few times in like intra school fests, and this like SpeakSmart I've done so much. I gave the Trinity exam, and it's been a really great experience. And I genuinely think public speaking is such an important skill. It does not only mean debate and jam. That is one very bad misconception that we have in us. It's not, it's just basic. Like giving a job interview is a public speaking skill, because you're talking to strangers there and you're presenting yourself. You can't just say, I won this award, I got A in all my. You have to give yourself a personality, right? They're not just going to recruit anyone. How many of you have got suits? Like, I just want to ask. Anjali though has, we know that. Like, you guys, in the first scene of Suits, not first scene, the Mike and Harvey interview, Mike had zero merits to show, but he still got selected because he reflected a really nice personality through it. And like, I'm not saying become like Suits because it's pretty unrealistic, but it's a great example, I think, to show that if you just have good public speaking skills, you can do some really great stuff. And Sheila ma'am's just a blessing to have, because she actually is like, she's one of those teachers who I can comfortably express a lot of opinions that would be very outrageous to a lot of my other teachers. And I don't really know. Like, that's all I have to say about public speaking. And I think all of you were great today, as I said before. And I hope all of you are going to do great in whatever spheres you plan to go to.
All right, thank you so much, Mehak. So with that, we'll move to Omika.
I know that all the participants are dying to know the results. Don't worry, they're all good. And the judges were also very happy with the outcomes. Having said so, coming to my journey, I started, well, I was labeled the chatterbox of the family, all right, because apparently I never stopped talking, which is a trait that I think I'm very proud of till today. And having said so, I started public speaking when I was about 10 years old. I know it sounds a little ridiculous, but that's when I joined SpeakSmart. And Chira ma'am had to handhold me through the process because I was a very nervous box of flutters when I was thrown on stage. In fact, I think it's a pattern now. Before every debate, I have at least one breakdown, reminding myself that I'm going to absolutely mess up whatever I have to say. However, having said so, it's absolutely all right to be nervous, and it's okay to want to rework your entire speech in the last minute, but don't do that. That's the time when you take a breath and you say, this is my stage and I'm going to go out and rock it. Okay, avoid the cheesiness of that. However, I have been vice president for a while now, and I have a fabulous team. They're all such talented people. In fact, it was very unfair to send me after Mehak because Mehak made such an incredible speech, and then you just pair me up with that as competition. Not done. However, I'll just move on to the next. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Omika. We'll have Iona next. Iona.
I don't like it. Okay. Anyway, so I joined SpeakSmart when I was 10, like Umika. And I was a very nervous child. I was dealing with my anxiety and I was not ready to speak in front of anyone. And Sheila ma'am totally guided me out of it. And like I said earlier, she plays a very big part in my life, in shaping my personality. And she has like a very big hand in what I am today. And I guess SpeakSmart is like home to me, and it is okay. Yeah, I guess I'll keep it to that.
Thank you so much, Iona. Okay, with that, we'll move to our judges and hear their opinions and what was their take about today's debate. First, we'll have Priya.
Hi guys. I personally, I thought it was a really good debate, in the sense that everyone had something new to add to the debate. The only thing I personally thought would have made it even better was because we're discussing Indian media, we don't have to necessarily stick to news. News is not the only form of media. Media means anything that it's a medium to exchange ideas. It's a medium of communication. I would have preferred to have seen a little more on social media, because when we talk about misinformation, what do you mean by misinformation? We mean the crazy amounts of fake news that's spread via social media, via your Instagram. According to Instagram, the ICSE exam for 2021 is getting cancelled because Corona is not going anywhere. That's misinformation, and that's what's spreading through media right now. So that is one thing. And when we speak about misinformation and media, also, I feel like the debate was a little polarized, in the sense that we went on and on bashing a few journalists and what they do in today's world, and how their portrayal of news is not correct. But we need to realize that when we talk about news, and when we talk about news channels, their job is to not give us an opinion. It is not their job to give you an opinion. So all the people who said that, at the end of the day, it is the people's decision to it's the people should be able to decide whether something is right, as in the people who are listening to the news are the ones who should be able to decide if something is right or wrong. I think that's very important, in the sense that media is not supposed to give, like, to all of you who said that media gives you their take. No, they're not. Media is supposed to be neutral. They're supposed to give you the news. They're supposed to give you the happenings of the country in a clear-cut manner. If they want to have a debate on media channels, that's something else entirely. That is when you have a body of experts, a panel of experts coming and like exchanging views, and that is where you have things like opinions being thrown around. Like, that is where Arnab Goswami can come up and say that the Hathras case is, it's live on YouTube. I can't use abuses. Where the Hathras case is not correct, where where nothing really happened, and the UP government is not to be blamed. He can say that in a debate, but when he's presenting that to you on as a news bulletin, which is his basic job, having that be a colored opinion is what makes the media is what makes all the news that you see on media misinformation. Moreover, when we talk about money in the media, we don't necessarily have to stick to money being awarded boatloads of money, in the sense that you know, here's a bag of cash, now go and just put forth my opinion and something that will make my government look better. But it's a sort of soft power that the media has, that news channels have. So I don't know if any of you all know what soft power means, but it's something that we debate a lot in university level of debating. Soft power in the sense when you can influence someone's way of thinking, that becomes soft power to you. So in a country like ours, where the news plays such an important role, especially since this is like our entertainment in the current world, we can't, if we're sitting in the middle of a pandemic, we can't leave the house and go out. So our 9 p.m. the choices to a family at 9 p.m. are either watch the news or watch a serial. So in such a situation, any sort of corruption in the media, where they colorize the views that are being presented, where they base their views on their own opinion, their personal opinion, that becomes very difficult, because if you hear the same thing again and again and again coming from someone else, it sort of molds your own view. You stop thinking about a topic or a motion or a piece of news objectively. It becomes more subjective. Your opinions are colored, which is where misinformation starts spreading. And then obviously you have social media channels where then you go and put your views, which are already colored, and you go and put your views out, and then someone else reads that, and then they make their own opinion based on your opinion, which you have based on another news anchor's opinion. So that's how it's a snowballing effect. So Indian media, when it starts from a point of view where you have someone giving you their opinion as opposed to clear cut facts, that's where misinformation starts. And money, more than money, corruption plays a role when these news channels become the spokespersons for particular governments or particular political ideologies, where they try to show a particular political ideology in a better light. And in doing that, color their own opinion and therefore try to color our opinions as well. So yeah, I thought it was a really good debate. I would have liked to see a little more discussion on the social media issue and fake news. But yeah, I thought you all did a great job.
Thank you so much. Next, we have our second judge, Tanya.
Hi. Yeah, so I also agree that the debate was really good, and I think the topic is very, very relevant today. I agree that I would also have liked to hear a bit more about social media, especially how we as young consumers, we don't consume the news or consume information from the TV channels or the newspapers. We consume our news from social media. We click on a link on Instagram or on Facebook. So I think that's a very relevant thing for us. And I would like to also add, when it comes to money and power, how the tech companies are influencing our perception of the world. Because I mean, we all the new what we consume on social media, we get more of what we consume. So in a way, social media just gives us what we want to see. So we're not opened up to more perspectives. So if you are very left wing, you'll keep seeing only very left wing articles and videos. Versus if you're very right wing, you keep seeing more right wing stuff. So that way, I think it increases polarization. So I would have liked to see a bit more about how tech and the media interrelates with one another. And also the second thing is how governments, even BJP pays these social media channels to put forth what the news that they want to put forth. So that also plays a huge role in how we view the events happening around us. So yeah, I think that's another aspect which I think is really interesting. But overall, the debate was really good. I think a lot of points were brought forth. And I would just like to add that when I was like 16 or 17 or as young as 12, I was not thinking about these things. I'm highly impressed from that perspective, that you guys are so young and you guys are so aware or are trying to get more educated and aware. And I think I really want to thank Sheila ma'am for that, because even during my time, I really loved learning under her, because she's a remarkable human being. But that's all I have to say. Good job, everyone.
Thank you so much. Okay, so with that, I'll be moving to the vote of thanks for this evening. So on behalf of the SpeakSmart student wing, I would like to thank everyone who participated and attended the debate. Our judges, without whom this debate would not have been possible, they have taken out time from their busy schedules to be here, and it gives us so much pleasure to have them here with us today. I think a lot has been said about Sheila ma'am today, but I will go on and say a bit more, which is that our heartfelt thank you to her for believing in us and making sure that we achieve our the best of our potential. And she's been an amazing sport throughout the entire process and has given us the full freedom to execute all of our plans. Lastly, but of course most importantly, my whole team, our creative team headed by Mehak and Iona, who have worked on the flyer, which was circulated throughout, and the certificates which will be distributed post the event. Our content and research team headed by Raima and Kanishk, who come up with the topics and the rules and regulations, also the definition of the motion. My committee members, who have always been just a call away and have always stepped up to the occasion. Also, I would like to thank each one of you all for putting so much hard work, so much zest, and who have literally been by my side and just supported the whole event throughout. Lastly, I would like to thank my Vice President, Omika, for her constant support, hard work, zest, and probably one of the best Vice Presidents I have ever worked with. So we worked on this for days, and it's very nice to see such a wonderful response. With that, I'll be moving on to the awards for this evening. The best speaker goes to Harshita. Harshita, if we could have your video on so I could spotlight you. Congratulations, Harshita. The best content, the best content goes to Divya. Divya, if I could have your video on, please. Congratulations, Divya.
Thank you.
Now we have the best style, which goes to Nishat.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. And lastly, the best rebuttal goes to Devdeepto.
Can have a bit of a virtual applause.
Thank you so much.
Y'all were great.
Congratulations. And a special mention for a great interjection would be Nandini. Nandini, if I could please have your video on.
Yeah, I think there are some issues with this. I can't just switch it on.
Right,
Okay.
congratulations.
Okay,
Yeah. Thank
Anjali,
you.
can I just add like a
sure.
a word or two? Right. Just a big congratulations to all the participants. You all were great. If this was your first debate, or if you're like still, coming up as a public speaker, don't worry. You have miles to go, and you never stop learning. A big thank you to the judges too, because they brought up such pertinent points, which I personally felt were very, very relevant, especially the part about polarization that Priya Didi brought up, etc. And I also like to say a big thank you to our president, who is the kind of person who will send emojis and freak out at the last minute if people have backed out. And she's always there for everyone, no matter what. And I think it makes her an exceptional leader in all aspects. And a big thank you to Shrira ma'am for always cheering from the sidelines and just always being there for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much to everyone for attending. All participants and attendees may leave. All wing members and judges are requested to stay back. Thank you so much.
And please don't exit the group yet. We'll give the certificate as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm just going to remove the others now. I know it's rude to do it. It's just